My girlfriend spent her whole life inventing a time machine. She wanted to travel back in time to win back her first love. I secretly followed her back in time, and then I saw her, whom I had taught how to love little by little, holding her first love's hand and saying gently, "I didn't know how to love before, and I broke your heart, but now I've learned." On the second day after traveling back, I saw Lu Ruyan at Brother Kwang Ma's birthday party. She appeared in the private room holding a handmade cake and a carefully chosen gift. Under the dim, flickering candlelight was her focused and affectionate gaze. The romantic atmosphere instantly reached its peak. Everyone gathered around, waiting for Brother Kwang Ma to make a wish and blow out the candles, and then cheered for them to kiss. I stood quietly at the very edge of the crowd. The roommate standing next to me introduced her. "That's Brother Kwang Ma's girlfriend. Isn't she super pretty? Not only that, she's also incredibly considerate and gentle, careful and thoughtful. She always keeps her distance from other guys. She's simply perfect." In complete silence, I watched Lu Ruyan gently take Brother Kwang Ma's arm with a smile in her eyes. After looking away, I replied in a low voice to my friend, "Indeed, mature and reliable. Very good at taking care of people." After all, that was what I spent 5 years of time and energy teaching her little by little. The original Lu Ruyan wasn't like this at all. She had a bad temper and no patience, impulsive and irritable, bossy and arrogant. Her relationship with Brother Kwang Ma, which lasted less than 2 years, ended after Brother Kwang Ma vented all his dissatisfaction and fell in love with her best friend. Lu Ruyan couldn't accept it, so she spent years inventing a time machine. Once she learned the way to love someone that I taught her, she abandoned me without hesitation to travel back to her sophomore year when she just got together with Brother Kwang Ma. Even though, in just one more day, it would have been our 5th anniversary, but she couldn't wait. Now, we have become complete strangers. The protagonist of the birthday party was Brother Kwang Ma, so everyone's topics revolved around him and Lu Ruyan. Someone asked him how he managed to find such a perfect girlfriend, and someone else asked Lu Ruyan if she had any best friends as pretty as her. Someone even half-jokingly said, "They say predecessors plant the trees and descendants enjoy the shade. Lu Ruyan is so careful and considerate. Could she have been taught by her ex-boyfriend?" Hearing this, Lu Ruyan wasn't annoyed either. Still maintaining a faint smile, she held Brother Kwang Ma's hand, like a confession, and like a clarification. "There are no predecessors. He is my first love, and the only person I love." Of course she had no predecessor, because I only got together with Lu Ruyan the second year after they broke up. I am not the predecessor, I am the descendant. But that didn't stop her from taking the way I taught her to love me, and using it all on Brother Kwang Ma. The lights flickered in the private room, and the crowd swayed, so from beginning to end she never saw me standing in the corner, until they finished cutting the cake. As Brother Kwang Ma handed out the cake, he introduced his friends to her, and Lu Ruyan stood in front of me. Our eyes met. I don't know how to describe the look on her face the moment she saw me. Her smile froze on her lips, and a trace of inexplicable panic flashed in her eyes, but she quickly calmed down. Then Brother Kwang Ma introduced me, saying, "This is Dax Ian, my classmate." She stared at me blankly. I maintained a perfect faint smile, watching Brother Kwang Ma tug her clothes, frowning and asking, "What's wrong? Do you know each other?" Only then did Lu Ruyan snap back to reality and hand me the small slice of cake, saying coldly and distantly, "I don't know him." Holding the cake, I sat on a single sofa, looking at Lu Ruyan, who had returned to the center of the crowd. Under the shimmering, flowing light, tall and long-legged, with striking features, she was indeed incredibly beautiful, especially her eyes, as deep as ink. When she looked at someone earnestly and intently, they always seemed innocent and affectionate. That's why, in the 5 years we were together, no matter how angry or sad I was, as long as I saw her face, as long as she quietly looked at me and softly called out, "Dax Ian," I would immediately surrender and easily forgive her. The little cake in my hand gave off a faint orange blossom scent. My roommate bit his spoon and mumbled, "Dax Ian, try it quick. It's seriously incredibly delicious." She put so much heart into it. Great. Now, I have to add another condition to my criteria for a girlfriend. I curled my lips into a smile. I had happily taught her step by step. She looked at me then and said earnestly, "Dax Ian, once I learn how, for every birthday of yours from now on, I will make a cake with my own hands for you." Later, she learned how, but she never made one for me even once. Actually, in the trajectory of fate in my previous life, my first encounter with Lu Ruyan wasn't at this birthday party, because I really wasn't familiar with Brother Kwang Ma. He invited the whole class to his birthday party. I hadn't planned on attending. I was dragged by my roommate to join the fun. So in my previous life, I only stayed for a short while, and after giving my gift and blessing, I left early, and thus, I missed it.
What you want isn't what you have may not be.
They always looked cold and indifferent. She had an impatient look throughout the entire party. Setting aside their personalities, they were quite a match in terms of looks. I wasn't very curious and was never interested in other people's business, let alone another guy's girlfriend. So, after hearing that, I just smiled carelessly and didn't pay any more attention. I didn't even ask for her name. It wasn't until shortly after I got together with Lu Ruyan, when I accidentally saw a photo in her study, that I realized. It turned out she was the beautiful girl I hadn't managed to see back then, Brother Kwang Ma's girlfriend. But I didn't care. After all, who doesn't have a past? However, now, we have returned to the past. The corner I sat in was somewhat lonely, carrying a few indescribable emotions. I unconsciously drank a few extra glasses of fruit wine, slightly drunk and in a daze. For a moment, I couldn't tell if the time travel was real or fake, so I got up and went out to the terrace to catch the breeze for a long time. When I came back after sobering up, the crowd had already dispersed. With my fingers on the half-open private room door, I saw Lu Ruyan crouching down in front of Brother Kwangma, who was dead drunk on the sofa. Holding his fingers, she gently said, "I didn't know how to love before, and I broke your heart. But now, I've learned." I had to admit, Lu Ruyan, who had extremely high talent in learning, as long as she wanted to learn, there was nothing she couldn't master. So after that birthday party, I began to frequently hear about everything Lu Ruyan did for Brother Kwangma, like bringing a rose every time she came to see him, like peeling shrimp and picking out fish bones for him at dinners, or hand-making gifts to create little romantic surprises. She would occasionally come to accompany Brother Kwangma to classes, but the intersection between us since traveling back was only that one time at Brother Kwangma's birthday party, and then there was today, the photography club mountain climbing trip that my roommate and Brother Kwangma participated in. He begged me to go with him to help take photos. "Daxian, I'm begging you. I absolutely love your lighting, composition, and color style. I'll treat you to a big meal when we get back." Under his relentless pestering, I agreed. Then, carrying my camera, I hurried to the gathering point with him. I saw Lu Ruyan, who came to accompany Brother Kwangma. She was wearing a black and white sports suit, standing in the crowd, with her head slightly lowered, earnestly listening to Brother Kwangma speak. It was probably my gaze lingering on her that made her notice. Before she turned her head to look, I calmly looked away. My roommate exaggeratedly introduced my photography skills to his companions. Zhang Daxian, a self-taught master photographer, top-notch lighting and excellent composition. I was amused by him, and politely spoke to the laughing classmates. "Just an amateur. If anyone needs it, I can help take pictures." So for the rest of the trip, people constantly offered snacks in exchange for me helping them take photos, until Brother Kwangma pulled Lu Ruyan over, smiling with his eyes curved, and said, "Daxian, could you take a picture for us too?" Holding the camera, I smiled and nodded. I found a suitable position and aimed the lens at them, but before I could press the shutter, I heard my roommate standing nearby ask loudly, "Lu Ruyan, why aren't you smiling? Look at Daxian over here. Smile." I waited silently for the moment Lu Ruyan forced a stiff smile, and quickly snapped a few shots. On the way back, we sat together on the bus looking at the photo. After receiving everyone's polite and joyful praises, we finally flipped to the ones my roommate took of me. Actually, they were taken quite well. It's just that the focus of one of the shots landed on the face of a passerby walking behind me who accidentally entered the frame. While flipping through, I don't know who suddenly pointed at the photo and blurted out, "How does that saying on the internet go? You didn't know each other, yet you were frozen in the same frame. Could it be that in another timeline, you really knew each other?" The smile on my face, after hearing what she said, finally faded completely. She was right. This girl and I did indeed know each other in my previous life. Her name was Bai Ningbing, my first love. I actually hadn't seen her for a very, very long time. Ever since she died in a car crash on our second anniversary. It was just that my life seemed to have stopped forever on the day she died, caught in a standstill, suspended in midair. Now, time had reversed. We hadn't even met yet. My drifting thoughts were pulled back by a sudden heartbreak. The camera slipped from my hands due to the inertia. Lu Ruyan, who was standing to my side front, caught it with quick eyes and fast hands. I calmed down after the extreme tension, and was just about to ask her for it back, when I noticed she was frowning, staring intently at that photo. The next second, my roommate turned his head to look, and his surprised voice rang out unexpectedly. "Lu Ruyan, she looks a lot like you." I don't know what Lu Ruyan thought of the moment her fingers silently tightened, but she was indeed a substitute. Regarding the fact that Lu Ruyan and I got together, it was actually her who proposed it. But I knew better than anyone that Lu Ruyan was not Bai Ningbing. No matter how alike they were, she was not her. So being with her, at first, I felt a bit of guilt and apology. After all, my only purpose was to see her face, until I accidentally learned that her first love was Brother Kwangma, and the words she said after getting drunk, "Once I learn how to love someone, I'll go find you." Only then did I realize in hindsight what she meant when she told me, "I don't know how to love. Could you teach me how to love you?" What did it mean? She didn't love me. We were just taking what we needed from each other. So, I started treating her as a substitute with peace of mind. I started teaching her the way Bai Ningbing loved me. I finally understood why in most Xianxia dramas, after the protagonist's lover dies, a mere phantom can trap them. Even knowing it's not their true love, they willingly succumb. I was also very soberly aware that this was undoubtedly drinking poison to quench my thirst. But fate led me, at the moment I wanted to give up the most. See the scattered materials in her study, about wormholes, black holes, and the speed of light, about time dilation, time reversal, time travelers, and a line that seemed to be casually written down. Travelers can only travel back into their own past bodies. In the moment my heartbeat suddenly accelerated. An incredible guess inexplicably surfaced in my mind. Actually, after getting together with Lu Ruyan, my deepest impression of her wasn't that she didn't know how to love, but that she was smart. An extreme kind of smart. A wall full of certificates and trophies, and the title of physics genius. All of it highlighted the glory and achievements of her journey. At the same time, it gave her a somewhat hard-to-hide arrogance. She didn't know how to bow her head and love someone in a relationship, until she broke up with Brother Kwangma. That was probably the only unsolvable problem she faced. So, she obsessively thought of every possible way to get the answer, and then go back to conquer it. To be honest, I didn't know if Lu Ruyan's obsession was the unattainable Brother Kwangma, or the only failure on her life's path. I also didn't know if she really intended, as I thought, to reverse time and travel back, much less if she could succeed. But what if she could? So I pretended to know nothing, and continued to be with her, year after year. and it even exceeded the time I had with Bai Ningbing. Until the day before our 5th anniversary. I called her. Lu Ruyan, let's talk when you get back. I want to break up. Surprisingly, she remained silent on the other end of the phone for a long time. Then gently said, Daxian, I probably can't spend our 5th anniversary with you. I'm sorry. I frowned and was just about to say it didn't matter when the call was hung up. Holding my phone, I stood there for a few seconds. Only then did I suddenly realize what she meant. Almost without hesitation, I rushed to her already empty laboratory, and then we went from lovers to strangers. She submitted the perfect answer sheet, becoming the model girlfriend in everyone's mouth, and I also got the chance to save Bai Ningbing, altering her inevitable death. Just as I didn't care about Lu Ruyan and brother Kwangma's past at all, she also didn't care who I was with. So I thought, regarding the fact that Bai Ningbing was my first love, Lu Ruyan wouldn't know. The camera was finally handed back to me. Lu Ruyan didn't say anything. She just turned her head and looked out the window in silence. I had no time to worry about anything else. My eyes fell on the photo, and my mind was full of Bai Ningbing. Suddenly, I understood something. Even though I tried so hard to maintain the development of my past life, waiting for our first encounter on the basketball court, the current trajectory still deviated due to one tiny change after another. Like this photo of her in the frame. Like in the public lecture the next day, she sat next to me. I once heard someone say that music and scents are carriers of memories. It was indeed true, because the second Bai Ningbing sat down, the familiar orange blossom scent hit my heart almost faster than any reaction I could make, drawing out continuous, lingering threads of fine pain. I sat stiffly at the desk, letting past memories surge and churn like a tide. Intertwined romantic scenes, vivid fragments of our time together, up until the scene right before the car crash. She blocked the direction it was crashing towards me, and died right in front of me. At the time I loved her the most. What interrupted my thoughts was the teacher's question. He called my name. In the silent classroom, I stood up half a beat slow, unable to utter a single word, because I wasn't listening at all. I remembered this teacher. He was known in the college for loving to find someone to help answer questions for students who couldn't. So after I remained silent for half a minute, he glanced over the sea of lowered heads and asked unhurriedly, is there any student willing to help answer? At that time, I hadn't fully awakened from my sorrowful memories yet. I actually felt that if no one stood up, it would be fine too. As long as I kept standing, I could just keep my head down and use my peripheral vision to constantly see Bai Ningbing beside me without being noticed by her. Her slender knuckles pressed down on a black pen. She flipped through the book somewhat casually and then suddenly stood up and said loudly, I'm willing to. In my astonishment, my lowered head, following her rising figure, gradually turned into a sideways, slight upward gaze. But what surprised me even more was, the teacher adjusted his glasses, looked up and asked, is the female student in the back also helping to answer the question? Bai Ningbing and I almost simultaneously turned our heads to look. We saw 2 rows behind. Lu Ruyan, who accompanied brother Kwangma to class, had also stood up. For a moment, countless pairs of eyes fell on her. She didn't look at me. She just stared calmly ahead and said, no, I'm going to the restroom. She went to the restroom. So the one who bailed me out was Bai Ningbing. After sitting down, just as I was about to turn and thank her, I saw her turn her head silently and whisper very softly to me, classmate, your eyes are so red. Are you going to cry? It's just not knowing the answer. Don't cry. Faced with her sudden closeness, I froze for a moment before slowly reacting. But I didn't tell her that the sour, red corners of my eye were not because I couldn't answer the question. Later, using gratitude as an excuse, I offered to treat her to a meal. After class, I took her to a nearby beef noodle shop. I skillfully blurted out to the proprietress, 2 bowls of beef noodles, both without chopped green onions. Turning around, I saw Bai Ningbing looking at me with a half smile. She asked me, how did you know I don't like green onions either? I paused for a moment, not knowing how to explain it was a fact. Then I heard her say, although I don't know who you were thinking of when you ordered, making you say your taste preferences out of habit. But I still think it's necessary to introduce myself. Saying that, she extended her right hand to me, looked at me earnestly, and spoke. Hello, classmate Daxian. I'm a first-year graduate student in the medical department. Bai Ningbing. I knew she was from the neighboring university. I also knew she was actually here to attend class for a friend. And this beef noodle shop located between the 2 universities was the one we visited most often when we were together in our past life. Although a long time had passed, I still clearly remember the last time I came here was in the 2nd week after Bai Ningbing left. In psychology, there is a term called emotional isolation defense mechanism. It activates when a person faces situations of extreme sadness and pain to prevent the brain from breaking down. So initially facing Bai Ningbing's death, facing the reality of never seeing her again, and never hearing her voice again, I was so numb and calm that I felt nothing. Staring at the grayish-white photo on the tombstone, I didn't shed a single tear. I would only find it hard to sleep in the dead of the night, clearly recalling every scene from the past, until one very ordinary evening, I came to this noodle shop, habitually ordered 2 bowls of beef noodles without green onions. Then, after the noodles were served, looking at the empty seat opposite me, tears fell without warning. The emotions that had been sealed away for so long seemed to suddenly tear open, followed by a pain spreading from my heart to my whole body, and tears that just wouldn't stop. Finally, when I forced myself to finish the entire bowl of noodle, I threw it all up under extreme sorrow. Since then, I never came to this noodle shop again. Fortunately, returning to the very beginning now, the car crash hasn't happened yet. Bai Ningbing hasn't died yet. Everything can still be salvaged. I looked at the hand in front of me, gently grasped it, and earnestly explained to her I wasn't thinking of anyone. It's just because my own preference is like that. I misspoke and said 2 bowls. She tilted her head and laughed. That's quite a coincidence. From now on, it will always be 2 bowls. In the the end, Bai Ningbing paid the bill. Under my surprised gaze, she smiled and handed her phone over. In public, letting the girl pay makes me seem not quite like a gentleman. How about this? Let's add each other on WeChat and I'll transfer it to you. I added her on WeChat and transferred the money to her, but it was returned. She said, why don't you do me a favor instead? They have a free clinic event and want me to help take pictures. A week later, holding my camera, I followed her to a nearby community, recording the scenes of their consultation. In the photos, Bai Ningbing was patiently answering questions for the residents, taking blood pressure and blood sugar for the elderly, chatting with the children. The midday sun fell on her wearing a white coat, like coating her in a faint layer of light, dazzling and gentle. If Lu Ruyan was a hard-to-reach flower on a high peak, then Bai Ningbing was a grand and warm autumn sun. They were never the same. As the free clinic drew to a close, everyone was chatting with the elderly and children. I saw Bai Ningbing surrounded by a group of kids. Walking over, I found she was making bamboo joint dolls for them. Amidst the chirping sounds calling out Sister Bing Bing, she lowered her head and pinched the crisp thin bamboo. Her distinct fingers flexibly threaded the strings and tied the knots, and handed them out one by one. This is for Yuan Yuan. This is for Tong Tong. This is for Daodu. I casually took a few photos. When I looked down to check them, I suddenly heard Bai Ningbing's voice. Looking up, I saw her holding a pretty bamboo doll out to me. She jokingly said, come on, everyone gets a share. This is for little kid Daxian. Later, through multiple interactions, Bai Ningbing and I became friends who could grab a meal together. She would help canvas boats for me when I participated in the most beautiful sunset photography contest. And when we went to play with clay together, she would sometimes seriously sculpt various human organs. And then, when the couple opposite us finally sculpted a standard heart, she held up the heart she made and said, look, this is a perfect anatomical heart. I put down the scattered limbs in my hands, smiled awkwardly at the speechless couple across from us, and pulled Bai Ningbing to change tables. She would also take me to meet her fellow students, pointing to those seniors who had taken off their white coats, introducing them to me one by one. Looking at those familiar faces, I politely greeted them. I remembered that gentle and delicate senior sister, who, after taking off her white coat, would turn into a cool and handsome biker. And I also remembered that calm and collected senior brother, who was actually a master in the esports circle. And regarding my appearance, and Bai Ningbing's introduction, my friend Daxian, they watched with friendly, smiling eyes. To be honest, they indeed didn't say anything, but it was as if they had said everything. I was stared at until my cheeks flushed hot. Bai Ningbing stood in front of me, pleading with her tone. Senior brother, senior sister, please spare him. Don't scare him. They rested their chins on their hands and continued looking at me with smiling eyes. No problem, no problem. Call us senior brother and senior sister, and we'll be family from now on. Even later, I became friends with them too, playing murder mystery games together, attending the joint university music festival together. Immersed in this stable and lively life, I once forgot the fact that I had traveled back in time, until I met Lu Ruyan again, probably because during that time, all my attention and thoughts were on Bai Ningbing. In the dorm, I would automatically tune out my roommate's gossip, so when I saw Lu Ruyan, I suddenly realized I hadn't heard her name in a long time. A summer night, at an outdoor barbecue stall in the evening breeze, when Bai Ningbing, her seniors, and I were sitting together playing Truth or Dare, I suddenly felt an intense gaze land on me. Subconsciously looking over, my eyes met Lu Ruyan's. She and brother Kwangmo, along with another couple, were sitting at another table. As if done deliberately, brother Kwangmo was holding Lu Ruyan's hand, regardless of whether she was listening or not, just talking on his own, and then, talking about something unknown. He laughed very happily. Meanwhile, the guy opposite him kept a tight face, pursing his lips in silence. The atmosphere seemed harmonious, but inexplicably a bit subtle, and the gaze Lu Ruyan cast on me made me feel like I had prickles in my back. Fortunately, the guy opposite brother Kwangmo suddenly stood up. He said very unhappily that he was done eating. They were leaving. Holding the duck leg Bai Ningbing handed me, I heard brother Kwangmo lean against Lu Ruyan's side. With a bit of drunkenness, he said as he walked, Lu Ruyan, I like you the most. As they passed by our side, my gaze lightly swept over them. I found that brother Kwangmo, whether in actions or words, indeed showed that he liked her very much, but she looked as if she wasn't happy. This doubt soon got an answer. Brother Kwangmo broke up with her. That roommate in the guitar club sighed with great pity during our nightly gossip time. Did you guys know? Brother Kwangmo and Lu Ruyan broke up. The pen in my hand stopped abruptly. I suddenly remembered a night in my previous life. My roommate also mentioned it like this, that brother Kwangmo and his girlfriend broke up. At that time, he said brother Kwangmo accused Lu Ruyan of simply not knowing how to love someone, that he couldn't stand being with her anymore, and was determined to break up. Shortly after, he officially announced his relationship with Lu Ruyan's friend. But now, Lu Ruyan had clearly become the best girlfriend in everyone's mouth. I didn't understand why they still broke up. The answer my roommate gave was, brother Kwangmo got tired of it. Lu Ruyan is like a programmed robot loving him, just following a procedure. Then, my roommate opened WeChat Moments to show us, look, he already announced his new relationship. The other party is still Lu Ruyan's friend. Looking at that post, I was speechless for a moment. It was the girl who looked unhappy at the barbecue stall that night. Then I heard my roommate suddenly lower his voice and say mysteriously, actually, the real reason is, brother Kwangmo never liked Lu Ruyan. Being with her was just to act out of spite towards his childhood sweetheart whom he secretly loved for a long time. To make her jealous. Yes, that childhood sweetheart is Lu Ruyan's friend, his current girlfriend. So whether Lu Ruyan knew how to love, brother Kwangmo simply didn't care, because they were destined to break up eventually. As for Lu Ruyan, she thought she had the correct answer, but ultimately found out the question stem itself was wrong. Amidst a burst of sighs, another roommate asked, so Lu Ruyan just accepted it? She didn't try to make him stay? She clearly seemed to like brother Kwangmo so much. No, I heard she accepted it very calmly. She didn't say a single word to urge him to stay. I found this somewhat absurd. I instinctively didn't want to accept this reality, because this would make me feel that what is meant to to happen will eventually happen anyway. This feeling, a week later, reached its peak upon seeing Lu Ruyan again. In a large shopping mall downtown, I found a lost child who had been separated from her family. Walking over in a green cheongsam. After holding the child's hand, she said she had to thank me, invited me to the tea house downstairs for a cup of tea. After repeatedly refusing, I was still brought over by her under the excuse of feeling guilty if I didn't go. Walking around the carved wooden folding screen, I saw Lu Ruyan sitting in front of the square table, wearing a light gray sweater, holding a Celadon teacup. Distant memories were instantly awakened, although the timing was off. In my previous life, my first encounter with Lu Ruyan was also because I found this child. Only back then, the person who came to the broadcasting station to pick up the child was Lu Ruyan. It was the daughter of her older cousin who occasionally returned to the country. Lu Ruyan's parents were both scientific researchers. They were away from her all year round. Therefore, growing up alone, her sense of family was always faint. In the 5 years I was with her, I hardly ever saw her relatives. Thus, this cousin and little niece, whom I only met once, were also forgotten by me as time passed. But I didn't expect that repeating this life, the same situation would occur again in a slightly deviated way. The girl's mother said this was the younger cousin she was supposed to meet, and then immediately explained to Lu Ruyan. This boy helped find her. His name is Daxian. As she finished speaking, Lu Ruyan put down her teacup and looked over. Unhurriedly, she said, "Yes, I know him." I didn't know how to describe my state of mind at that time. After the girl's mother learned that Lu Ruyan and I were alumni, she said in pleasant surprise, "That really is fate." Then she looked back and forth curiously between me and Lu Ruyan, one in the physics department, one in the Chinese department. "How did you two meet?" The private room fell silent. I retracted my gaze from the gently swaying sweet flag opposite me and said softly, "We don't really know each other. She is my classmate's girlfriend. We've met once." The next second, Lu Ruyan added, "We've already broken up." "Oh, he's an ex-boyfriend now." Probably noticing I wasn't in high spirits, the girl's mother didn't continue pressing about me. Instead, she conversed with Lu Ruyan. I picked up a pastry and focused on playing with the little girl beside me, paying no attention to their conversation. Right before it ended, I heard the girl's mother ask Lu Ruyan meaningfully, "Coming back this time, I find you seem to have changed a lot. Your personality is completely restrained now. Why? Is it because of that boy you broke up with?" She gently shook her head. "No, he doesn't like me, and I don't like him either. But you still seem very sad." Lu Ruyan remained silent for a few seconds, her voice somewhat hoarse, because I realized in hindsight, I seem to have missed someone I truly like. I didn't know what she meant by those words, and I didn't want to know either. But since then, our encounters began to become frequent. Trapped by heavy rain under the St. Eve, sitting at the same table eating in the cafeteria. Even the campus orange tabby I often fed suddenly ran to her feet one day. Too many coincidences are no longer coincidences. So, I reduced the frequency of going out, stopped eating in the cafeteria, and stopped feeding that orange cat. After some time, Lu Ruyan stood in the corridor I had to pass to get to the library. Looking very puzzled, she asked me, "Daxian, are you avoiding me?" Yes, I was indeed avoiding her. After all, starting over, she and I have absolutely no relationship anymore. And I didn't want to have any relationship either.
Could you be my love? Could you be her love?
I thought someone as proud as her probably wouldn't come looking for me again. But her breakup, our encounters, and various things, happening sooner or later, similar to the past life, ultimately still made a strong sense of unease arise in the bottom of my heart. Until I met Lu Ruyan again, I started to frequently dream of the car crash from my past life. In the dream, I returned to the day of our second anniversary with Bai Ningbing. She drove to pick me up for dinner. I sat in the passenger seat holding flowers, sharing the travel variety show I watched recently with her, while talking about the places I plan to travel to in the future. She listened quietly to my chatter, occasionally looking at me with gentle eyes and responding, "Okay, whatever you say." I don't know why. I felt she was a bit off, but I couldn't see what was wrong right away, so I gave up. Continued rambling to her. When talking about how to spend every anniversary in the future, a truck suddenly ran a red light and crossed the road. Actually, there were very few vehicles on that road at the time. Not many people either. As long as you braked in time, the car crash wouldn't happen. But the brakes failed. Without hesitation, Bai Ningbing turned the steering wheel to my side, leaving the only possible chance of survival to me. After the violent impact, I lost consciousness for a few seconds. When I opened my eyes again, I was in the bloody, pungent car. My whole body hurt so much I couldn't say a single word. In my blurred vision, there was a very long shard pierced into Bai Ningbing's chest. She was weakly, repeatedly begging the people gathering around, save him first, I beg you, save him first." Later, I was rescued by them through the shattered window. The last scene I saw before fainting was the scene of the car exploding. The investigation results were soon announced. Besides the truck driver running the red light due to fatigued driving, the brake system of Bai Ningbing's car had been artificially sabotaged. The criminal was a man burdened with millions of debt from online loans, developing a mentality of taking revenge on society after failing to repay. He sabotaged the brake systems of almost all cars in that area, so the car crash rate during that time was extremely high. The casualty toll was extremely high. I lay on the hospital bed, numbly looking at the news on my phone, quietly listening to the comforting words of Bai Ningbing's seniors when they came to visit me, until they said, that day, Bai Ningbing was actually planning to propose. Only then did I understand why she was a bit off at that time. The ring was found on Bai Ningbing's body. Very beautiful. I liked it very much. During that time, everyone was persuading me to look forward, to move forward, but I didn't understand. If I move on, what about Bai Ningbing who was left behind here? I was jolted awake by the rapid sound of my alarm, opened my eyes and stared blankly at the ceiling, noticing a wet patch at the at the corners of my eyes. Only then did I realize I was crying again. Every detail of that car crash was almost etched into my bones, including the criminal who sabotaged the brake system. But right now I couldn't do anything. After all, before he sabotaged the brakes, he was just an ordinary person in debt, and I didn't dare go find him in advance, thereby causing other butterfly effects. I could only keep the changes to a minimum, wait until the day he committed the crime, and during the waiting period, Bai Ningbing and I got together. Before that, I actually faintly sensed the signs that she was going to confess. The cause was once a senior from the photography club asked me to help pretend to be her boyfriend, to fend off a boy who kept pestering her. In the elegant and quiet restaurant, the senior put her arm around me and said to the boy opposite, "I really do have a boyfriend. Look, his name is Daxian." My acting wasn't good. I give it away as soon as I spoke. I could only try hard to maintain my smile and nod in agreement. The next second, I accidentally saw behind the frosted partition at another table sat Bai Ningbing and her friends. She probably saw the whole scene. When she met my eyes, she abruptly lowered her head, didn't answer the questions from the friends beside her either, just ate her rice quietly. That very night, I saw her WeChat Moments post. It was a picture of a smashed heart model with the text, "Heartbroken." The next day, carrying her favorite green plum cake, I went to bump into her in the corridor bathed in the setting sun. She stood in front of me with a dejected look, lacking her usual bright spirit. I watched her silently take a bite of the cake, asked her, "Is it sweet?" "Not sweet. Bitter." I nodded understandingly, softly said "oh," then changed the subject. A new roast duck restaurant opened nearby. "Want to go try it together?" She silently looked at the ground for a while. Her voice was a bit low. "Us going to eat together? Wouldn't your girlfriend mind?" I acted surprised and asked, "Ah, you mean that senior from yesterday?" I was just helping her fend off unwanted attention. How was it? Was my acting really good? Even fooled you? Oh, right. Seeing her eyes gradually brightening up, I continued, "But even if I had a girlfriend, just having a meal with a friend, she probably wouldn't mind." "Then do you mind having a girlfriend?" She suddenly interrupted, looking at me somewhat nervously. In that moment, I smiled faintly and said nonchalantly, "Then it depends on whether the green plum cake is sweet or not." I lined up for 2 hours to get it. In a split second, she stuffed the remaining half of the green plum cake into her mouth and mumbled indistinctly, "Sweet, so sweet it kills." That very night, she posted another Moments update. It was a profile photo of me with the text, "My rest of life. Bai Ningbing and I just got together like that." There were none of the romantic confession scenes from novels or idol dramas. Only two hearts holding each other. After that, just like any other ordinary couple, we spent a very ordinary but happy time. Until the time came to the day before the one I marked on the calendar. Outside the old, dated residential area. The 3 a.m. crime time. The sabotaged brake devices. But that day wasn't mine and Bai Ningbing's second anniversary. Her car, due to various changes, wasn't parked there. The ones I wanted to save were the remaining people. At first, I was very apprehensive, worried that various accidents might happen. But reality went unexpectedly smoothly, because I didn't want to get involved in the crime or undergo various interrogations. I reported to the police that I lost a necklace worth 20,000 yuan in that area. The last time I saw it was at 3:30 a.m. The police quickly pulled the surveillance footage.
What did you do today? Why do we choose you chase when we in
I told the police that I found it in the trash can. At the same time, I also heard that the brakes of multiple cars were sabotaged that night. The criminal was caught. The matter I had worried about for so long had probably ended here. But deep down I still felt uneasy. This unease continued until 2 weeks later. The day Bai Ningbing and I went to the cinema to watch a movie. When we were walking in the crowd, a man with a scar on his right cheek brushed past me. A knife hidden in his sleeve caught my eye. He was walking towards a pregnant woman. In a split second, my action was almost faster than my thought. By the time I realized it, I had already blocked the knife for that pregnant woman. I lay on the ground, finally knowing what I had forgotten. That knife-scarred man was a fugitive. In my past life, while on the run, he died in a car crash caused by brake failure. But in this life, the car crash was prevented. He survived. The surroundings fell into chaos. Bai Ningbing knelt beside me, seemingly saying something so forcefully that the veins on her forehead bulged. But I couldn't hear anything anymore. I seemed to have walked in a thick fog for a long time. Finally arriving at the park next to my community when I was 10. At that time, because I was sick, I took hormone-containing medicine year-round. I was very overweight, so the kids would often circle around me, mocking me, "Big fat pig, ugly freak." I covered my ears and tried hard to explain to them, "I am not a big fat pig. I am just sick. I will get better. I am not a big fat pig." Nobody listened to my explanation. They watched me crouching on the ground with giggles and shouted even louder, until a young girl descended like a god. She warned them coldly, "Whoever dares to say another word, I'll hang you up on a tree and let the birds poop on you." After they ran away screaming, the young girl crouched in front of me who didn't dare to look up and comforted me in a soft voice, "Don't be afraid." I chased them all away. I slowly looked up at her handsome face and said quietly, "Sister, I am not a big fat pig. I am just sick." She smiled gently at me. "Yeah, I know. You are just sick. You'll get better." After that day, every time I came to the park, I could see her jogging. No one else wanted to play with me. Only she did. But she was too good looking. So good looking that it made me feel inferior and sad. I couldn't help asking her, "Sister, what if I never get better?" She rubbed my head. "Then I will become a doctor. I will cure you." From our first meeting to parting, it was only 11 days. This was the last sentence she left me. After she said it, we heard her mother calling her from not far away. "Bing bing, Bai Ningbing, come home for dinner." The next day, my dad's affair was discovered. My mom took me and moved away directly. Since then, I never saw Bai Ningbing again. When we met again, she had already become a medical student, standing in the crowd, as dazzling as ever, and my illness had also been cured. Later, we met again by chance on the basketball court, got to know each other, and got together. The person I secretly loved for nearly 10 years also fell in love with me, and later, later, before I could even ask if she remembered me, she died. Fortunately, this time, I saved her. If this is the price, then I am willing to bear it. I returned to the impenetrable thick fog again. Felt like someone was talking next to me, but I couldn't make any reaction. Vaguely, I seemed to hear Bai Ningbing's voice. She seemed to be helplessly asking the people beside her voice broken and hoarse. I studied medicine for so long. Why can't I save him? Teacher, what should I do? When I regained consciousness, the hospital room had become very quiet. Someone was sitting by the bed. I used all my strength and only slightly lifted my eyelids halfway. I could only blurrily see her face. Looked like Bai Ningbing. Also looked like Lu Ruyan. I tried hard to distinguish for a long time, to no avail, until she spoke. If I hadn't traveled back, would it not have triggered the butterfly effect, leading to your injury? Or maybe you also came back, so you saved that pregnant woman. After saying that, she paused, laughed as if mocking herself. I've never known. In the other timeline, you liked me. Was it because of her? Or was it because of my time travel that indirectly made you fall in love with her in this timeline? This question, I will probably never get the answer to. But Daxian, I regret it. All along, I thought all difficult problems could be solved through studying, reasoning, and calculating. It turns out loving someone is not. I seem to have no way to make you, who fell in love with her, fall in love with me again. I actually didn't really want to recall those 5 years I was with Lu Ruyan, but inexplicably, a very small incident surfaced in my mind. It was probably the winter of our 3rd year together. On my way home from work, while talking to her on the phone, I accidentally bumped into someone. After crying out in surprise, my phone accurately fell through the narrow gap of the storm drain grate into the sewer. Feeling extremely frustrated by this, I used the only cash I had on me to ride a taxi around all night. The next day, I found out Lu Ruyan had searched for me all night. I didn't know why she did that, but for two people whose beginning was impure in its motive, there was bound to be no result. Now, saying anything more is meaningless. I woke up on a very ordinary evening. As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw Bai Ningbing with her head lowered, patiently wiping my fingers one by one. I turned my head to look at her and called out softly, Bai Ningbing. The wiping motion stopped abruptly. She didn't look up. The veins on the back of her hand gripping the towel bulged. After being silent for a while, she got up and strode out. I looked at the white ceiling and counted silently in my heart. When I counted to 57, she walked back in. The corners of her eyes were red. After a comprehensive examination, there were no major issues. On the day of my discharge, Bai Ningbing took me to where she lived and began the careful caretaking. Her daily routine revolved around me all day. I said to her apologetically, I'm sorry, we just got together not long ago, and I'm already causing you so much trouble. She seemed to laugh out of anger, pinched my cheek, put the bowl of soup in front of me, and feign anger. Then hurry up and drink, and quickly get back the weight you lost for me. I frowned and shook my head, but I finally lost some weight. It saves me the trouble of dieting. She was so angry that she completely lost her temper, scooped a spoonful of soup and brought it to my mouth, coaxing in a low voice, come on, Daxian kid, open your mouth. Listen to Sister Doctor. A healthy person is the most beautiful. I recovered from my injuries amidst Bai Ningbing's half-angry, half-coaxing care. The next time I saw Lu Ruyan was half a year later at the supermarket. While I was holding a few oranges looking for Bai Ningbing, I accidentally dropped one. It kept rolling and rolling. Finally, someone bent over, stopped it, and picked it up. It was Lu Ruyan. She walked closer step by step and placed that orange in my arms. In the silent gaze between us, I sincerely said to her, Lu Ruyan, thank you. Just as the words fell, Bai Ningbing's voice suddenly came. She was looking for me. Daxian. I quickly answered, coming, and brushed past Lu Ruyan, who was just about to speak. Just as in this vast and boundless universe, we might have a brief encounter, but eventually, we just drift apart. After returning that night, while tidying up the study, I saw a photo frame in the glass cabinet. Inside was a hand-drawn cartoon figure, a chubby little boy. In the speech bubble above his head were the two words Daxian. I took the picture to ask Bai Ningbing, asking her when she recognized me. She smiled, the ends of her eyebrows raised slightly. She casually flipped the photo frame over. I was stunned. That was a photo of her, but the focus was on me walking past behind her. The date recorded on it was exactly the day we went mountain climbing. So the next day, she sat down next to me. From then on, our story had a new beginning.